Officially welcoming everyone to today's session. Thank you for taking out the time on a Sunday. That also at 4:30 for joining us in talking about strength and tribe. I think most of you who are on this call have met me at some point, so I'm glad to see some known faces. So, when Shazia told me that she wants to speak about strength, I was wondering, okay, what does strength mean to me? What are the instances in my life when, I've thought that, oh, this person is being really strong. What does it really mean to me? Have I thought about my strengths? Have I thought about my community strength, my family strength, my friends? What are their strengths? So I did a little bit of looking around and I found that strength as a concept is very vague, and it's a fairly recent concept where strength was usually spoken about more in philosophy, and then came in the movement of positive psychology. And those of you who don't know about positive psychology, it is very different from the traditional psychology that we follow, which is focusing on pathology, failure, illnesses. You're talking about suicide, mental disorders. And positive psychology took a step back. It was the founding father of psychology was Martin Seligman. So it's a fairly recent concept where they focused on what does it take to live a more fulfilling life? How do we truly find our potential? What are our strengths? Let's think about what is right with us instead of thinking about what is wrong with us. Because that's what traditional psychology was doing. We were thinking about this is not working. What are the problems? Where do the problems lie? How do we change this behavior? And positive psychology, on the other hand, was talking about what are our strengths? How do we optimize our strengths? What leads to living a more fulfilling and happier life? And that's where they started the study of strengths, and they moved it from strength, which was being discussed as a vague concept, into finding these 24 character strengths. And they speak about how there are these 24 character strengths, and you're not weak at something, it's just that you scored extremely low in that character. So you might look at your weakness as something where you've absolutely closed your doors and it is unfixable. Positive psychology doesn't look at it in that way. We don't look at our weakness as if there is no coming back from there. We look at it as a place where, okay, we've scored low in this, how do we get better? But also looking at the facts and at the characteristics and the signature strengths that we are really good at and getting better from them. So I just want all of you to think about, in a day, how often do you think about your strengths? How all of you had it was somewhat related but a different take on what strength actually means to you and how you actually think about it on a day-to-day basis, and what led you to kind of adopting this habit of strength and building on it from there. But if I reverse the question and I ask you, how often do you think of your weaknesses on a day-to-day basis? What would your answer be? And there's no right or wrong. right from childhood, when we used to go to school, we used to come back and our scorecards were shared with our parents, and they would say, okay, you've done well in sociology, you've done well in psychology and political science, but what about economics, or what about math, or what about entrepreneurship, where you haven't done equally well, and they would make you realize that this is one of your weaknesses, and that is something that you need to work on, something that you need to get better at. And sharing a personal example, I did put in that time and energy in subjects that I was extremely weak at. But it wasn't innate to me, it wasn't natural. I was spending too much time, and there was only frustration and depletion of energy that I was experiencing. Now, if I think about it, what if I spent the same time and energy in something that I was really good at? Something that came naturally to me, something where I felt that I was in a state of flow. I wasn't trying so hard. Even if you put me in a difficult situation, I would have still been able to ace that particular, task that was given to me, because that's where my strength actually lies. So through evolution, we are always primed to be thinking about the worst possible situation. What is the worst that can happen to us? When something happens to you, how often do you think of what is the best that can happen to me, and what am I really good at? Because you're so primed to negative news, you're so primed to looking at social media and thinking, oh my God, they're in a better place. They've used their strengths in such a way where they are really successful. And then that social comparison comes into play, where you're thinking about, okay, what is it that I don't have to get there? So there is a lot of negative experiences that are being shared in and around us, and that does affect us in some way possible. Even during the hunter-gatherers time, everyone was thinking of, okay, I need to save myself from any sort of danger, otherwise I'm going to lose my life. And that's in our DNA, right? We are going to be thinking of the worst possible situation. But how do we change that? How do we think of, okay, this is my strength and I can change it for the good? Now, another thing that I want all of you to think of is, if you had to introduce yourself by not sharing your name, where you're from, what you do, but if you had to share 2 to 3 strengths as an introduction to everyone else, how would you do it? Brilliant. So all these strengths that you've all shared with me, did it come to you as a sense of self-discovery, or was there a situation in a life or an experience that you had where you thought that maybe these are my strengths? What led to the discovery of tapping into understanding what your true strengths are? Was it the reason I asked this question was because we sometimes have these experiences, and that could happen really late in life, where we actually understand our most authentic self and what we're really good at. But what if we actually understood our strengths earlier in life and believed in it? What if we actually knew about our strengths at an earlier stage when we were in school? Or what if when we came back home, we, with full awareness, put down what our strengths were and actually were given the opportunity to optimize and work on our strengths and focus more on it? What if a situation didn't have to arise where we are fortunate enough to understand that these are our strengths, but what if someone was so clouded by their thought process and wouldn't have been in a position to understand what their strengths are, but were only looking at what went wrong? Where did they fall short? So because of our education and our bringing and our values, we've been in a position to look at our strengths. We're a community. We always push each other for the best by looking at the best in each other. What about the people who actually don't have someone to push them? Where they've gone wrong somewhere, but there's also something which is extremely unique to them, which is their strength. And what if we actually tapped into that at a very early stage in life? So I would like to share a picture with all of you. What do you see? Do you see the trees? It looks like a cloudy day. The rocks, the water body. What else do you see? So, of course, when you initially look at that picture, it looks like, oh, there are just trees, there are rocks, and there's a water body, and it looks like a cloudy day, right? But there's definitely more that meets the eye. There's definitely a lot that happens beyond every conversation that you have with someone. There's definitely more when you read a book and what kind of impact that has on your life. There's more to the community that you're a part of, and what kind of impact that has on your life and how you have an impact in the community that you're in. So it always takes us to really dig deeper and break out of autopilot to look at what lies way beneath than what meets the eye. So sometimes it just takes tilting your head, looking at a picture at a deeper level, seeing what really lies beneath the surface to understand what our true strengths are. And today we've just scratched the surface, where we know that these are some of our strengths, but you actually might realize later that you have some other strengths as well. So we've done a lot of talking, and yes, thank you for sticking around. Yes, we were going to do yoga, and now we're going to be practicing and basically finding strength in movement. And we are going to be doing very simple yoga asanas, where we will be focusing on strengthening each and every muscle in the body. So we look at our fellow yogis on Instagram, and we're like, how is she so flexible? Sometimes you have to step back and you have to understand what your strengths are and what you're really good at. And that's what we're going to be doing in today's practice, where we will be focusing on simple asanas, becoming aware of what your strengths are in that particular posture and how you can work on it on a daily basis, and of course show gratitude to what you're good at, to the practice, and taking it forward from there. So I hope all of you are in a comfortable place, well ventilated, You have your water bottle, you have your yoga mat, your towel. Alright, let's get on to our mats. I hope all of you can hear me clearly. If at any point you can't understand or have a question, feel free to jump in. Standing nice and tall on our mats, relaxing the shoulders. Let's take a long and deep breath in. Allow the shoulders to relax, allow the arms to hang loose. No tension in the fingers. Allow the hips to relax. Standing nice and tall. Spreading our toes, feeling that energy rising from the tip of the toes all the way through the spine to the top of the head. I want you to close your eyes. Sinking into the breath, the pattern of the breath. Becoming aware of the movement of the belly. Becoming aware of how we are feeling in this moment. Becoming aware of any sensation, any thoughts that may be arising. Simply becoming aware of these thoughts, not judging them, not indulging in any sort of self-talk. Just being mindful of how we are feeling in this moment. Becoming aware, setting an intention for today's practice. It could be any intention to do with our strengths. Imagining what our strengths are. Imagining which part of the body is stronger. We're simply going to become aware of taking our awareness to our strengths in today's practice. Repeating it to ourselves. The point that we're going to fall back would be focusing on our strengths. And if we feel weak in any particular posture, that's fine. There is always scope for growth and improvement. Now, gently opening our eyes, taking the arms over the head, interlocking the fingers, gently getting up onto our toes, into Tadasana. This is the mountain pose. Imagining ourselves to be strong and majestic like the mountains. To be standing in awe of the mountains. When we always have a tendency to go to the hills, and whenever we're in the hills, we feel in absolute awe of the beauty of the mountains and how majestic and big and how insignificant we feel. I want you to feel as if you're that entire mountain, where you can withstand any storm, rain, any sort of climate. And breathing out, bringing the arms back. Once again, taking a long and deep breath in, spreading the fingers, getting onto our toes, interlocking the fingers, palms facing up. This is extremely good for our posture. All that looking at our screen, on our laptop, on our mobile phones, this helps with all of that. And just stretching the spine, working on our posture. And relax. Taking the right hand up, stretching it towards the left hand side. I want you to open the chest, feel that expansion in the chest and also the stretch on the right hand side. Looking up, long and deep breaths in, back to the center, slowly taking the left hand towards the right hand side. Breathing into that stretch on the left, allowing the right hand to drop down. Becoming aware of our arms. Let's bring them forward, parallel to each other. Pull the glutes in, spread the toes, and moving towards the right hand side. Looking over the right shoulder, your toes pointing forward. Legs nice and tight. Look as far as you can from the right shoulder. These exercises are extremely good when you're starting your day. Moving it towards the left now, looking over the left shoulder. It's extremely good for getting all the digestive juices flowing and warming up our bodies in the body. Back to the center. Relax your arms. Bringing the shoulders all the way up to the ears, clenching your shoulders, taking a long and deep breath in, and release, allowing your arms and your shoulders to drop down. Once again, breathing in, shoulders all the way up, feeling that tension, and release. Once again, all the way up. And let go of any worries, any tension that might be sitting on your shoulders right now. Getting ready for gentle shoulder rotations. Breathing in halfway, breathing out in the other half. Pushing the chest forward as our shoulders roll back. And taking it forward. Pushing the shoulders forward. Long and deep breaths in and out. Doing each and every movement slowly, becoming aware of each and every movement around the shoulders and back to the center. I want you to push your hips back, getting into chair pose, keeping the spine straight, pushing your hips out. Keeping the spine straight. Go as low as you can. I want you to maintain a distance of shoulder width apart between your legs. Keeping the back straight. Arms in namaskar. Weight should be equally distributed on the front and the back of the foot. Now imagine as if you're a chair. This is the Utkatasana. It's called the chair pose. But just like the chair is able to take any sort of weight, anyone can come and sit on it, you can complain, you pull anything on your chair, and take the weight. That's the chair strength. Similarly, let's be like the chair. Go a little lower this time, nice and strong. And gently straightening the knees, getting into a flat back, interlocking the fingers, index finger pointing forward, getting into flat back. Take a long and deep breath in. And relax. Allow those arms to drop down. Feel that stretch behind your knees, moving side to side. Allow your torso to Hang loose. Moving up and down, bobbing the spine up and down. Just allow your calves to breathe. Allow the arms to hang loose. Allow your head to drop down. Look between your legs. And coming to the center, touching our toes. I want you to walk forward. Walking forward with our index finger. We're going to get into a plank from here. Do as much as you can. Feeling that energy in your belly, in your arms, in your thighs. I want you to take a long and deep breath in and hold on to that plank pose. From plank, getting into downward dog, pushing those heels down, allowing our hamstrings to open up. Pushing the hips up, chin to the chest, looking at your navel. Pushing the fingertips into the mat. Simultaneously pushing the heels all the way down. Do as much as you can into downward dog. From here, back into plank. And slowly bringing the knees down. Moving your hands underneath the shoulders and your knees underneath the hips. We're going to take a long and deep breath in and gently get into cat. In cat, your hips are pushing out. You're stretching your throat, looking up towards the sky or the ceiling. Long and deep breath in. And breathing out, pulling the navel in, chin to the chest, looking towards our belly button. Let's make a U shape with the back. And breathing in once again. Into cat. And breathe out, chin to the chest. From here, I want you to walk your fingers forward, stretching the arms, pushing the forehead into the mat, hips out, feeling that stretch in the back. Gentle effort, push the forehead and the nose into the mat. And slowly walking our fingers and our hands back to the center. We're going to get back into downward dog. And from here back into plank. Let's stay in plank. 3 long and deep breaths in plank. And from here, moving the right foot forward, placing it between the legs into horse pose. Looking up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. Gentle effort to push the hips down. This is Ashva Sanchalasana, also called the horse pose. Be majestic and beautiful like the horse. They are extremely strong. They were used during the battles, used to travel long distances. And I definitely would want to borrow some qualities of the horse. So feeling that energy in the horse pose, and from here, moving into warrior. Now in warrior, your right foot is pointing forward and your left foot is pointing inward at a 45-degree angle. I want you to push the outside of the left foot into the mat. Arms in one straight line. Let's enjoy the warrior pose. A few years back, a friend of mine asked me to write, basically work on a sketch where he said that, Nikki, think of yourself as a superhero. Think of all the super strengths that you have, all the weaponry, your shield. Think of all of that and make a sketch of yourself. He also said, how would you put your strengths into practice? And when I did that initially, it made no sense. It felt extremely odd of a superwoman at that point. But it makes so much more sense now. And how awkward we feel about thinking about our super strengths and ourselves as superheroes. So in warrior pose, for those of you who are finding it difficult, you can take a breather, relax your arms, and then come back to it. Moving the warrior on the left hand side. Now we're going to move our left foot towards the left hand side at 90-degree angle and the right foot at 45-degree inwards. Your shoulders are going to be above the hips, arms nice and strong. For those of you who want to push yourself a little more, you can go deeper. You can walk the toes forward, get into a deeper warrior. And from here, moving the toes forward, getting into flat back, and relaxing those arms. Pushing those palms down into the mat. Feeling that contact between the palms and the mat. Take a long and deep breath in. Moving the right hand towards the right hand side. And let's wrap it around the belly. And look up towards the ceiling. Or if you're outside, looking up at the sky. Looking at the clouds, the color of the sky. Any birds that you might be seeing. And bringing the right arm back to the mat. Let's take a long and deep breath in, taking the left hand all the way up. Feeling that stretch on the right hand side as we look up towards the left. Pushing that right palm into the mat. And wrapping our arm around the belly. Twist and look up. Long and deep breath in. Straightening the arm, bringing it back to the center. Let's hold on to our calves or our ankles. Let's use our arms as levers and push ourselves forward, moving the head closer to the mat, looking between our legs. And back to the center. From here, I want you to move back into Ashtasanchalasana on the right hand side. Back into horse pose. And from here, moving the left foot forward, bringing our feet together, back into chair. Keeping our back straight, knees behind the toes, and gently straightening our arms and our legs, bringing the arms back to the side. Another long and deep breath in, taking your arms all the way up. In Namaskar, in front of our chest. bend the knees, push the hips forward, taking the arms behind the head, looking up towards the ceiling or the sky. We can bend our knees a little bit, pull the glutes in, push the pelvis forward. From here, getting into a forward bend. Let's hold on to our calves, onto our ankle, whichever we're more comfortable with. Bringing the forehead as close as you can to your knees. And if you can't do it, for those of you who have a lower back pain, I would suggest you to keep your knees bent and touch your forehead to the knees. For those of you whose backs are extremely flexible, go all out. From here, bending the knees, I want you to take the left leg, stretch it away from the body, and back into horse pose. Up towards the sky. From here, release the arms and keeping our elbows pointing towards our ribcage. Let's keep the right leg bent, left leg straight. Taking the arms all over the head and back into warrior. This time we push ourselves a little more, we get into reverse warrior. So in reverse warrior, you bend your knee a little more, your right arm goes all the way up towards the left hand side, and you let your left hand hang loose all the way down towards the front. Open the chest, look up, take a long and deep breath in. Back to your center. Toes pointing forward, into flat back. Holding on to our ankles and our calves, looking between our legs. And from here, back into flat back. And into warrior on the left hand side. So our left toes will be pointing at a 90-degree angle. Our thigh will be parallel to the floor. Your right leg will be straight. Divya, you can walk a little more. You can move your feet further apart for a deeper stretch if you're comfortable with that. And getting onto our toes, we're going to get back to the center where we started, where our arms and your elbows are pointing towards the ribcage. Your left toes are pointing at a 90-degree angle. You're balancing on your left foot and the right toes. Take a long and deep breath in. Interlock the fingers. And stretching the spine all the way up. Take a long and deep breath in. From here, bring the arms down, getting into horse pose on the left hand side. So, our left knee is bent. Our palms are pushing down towards the mat. Fingers pushing all the way down, chin up. Relaxing the shoulders, and from here, getting into plank. Take a long and deep breath in, pulling the knees in, glutes nice and tight, thighs nice and strong, and getting into downward dog. Pushing the heels all the way down. Hips up, take a long and deep breath in, and slowly walking our arms towards our thighs, towards our toes. So from plank, we are walking back into a forward bend. Holding on to our ankles and our calves. Gentle effort. Moving the forehead closer to the base. And from here, back to the center. Into Namaskar. And relax. Now I want you to lie down on your back. So lying down on our backs. We're going to bend our knees, heels towards the buttocks. Taking a long and deep breath in, we're going to get ready for the bridge pose. In bridge pose, we gently push the pelvis away from the floor. Our fingers pushing into the mat. Glutes pulled in, pelvis facing up towards the ceiling. Think of yourself as strong as a bridge which is able to withstand any number of cars, anyone walking, any sort of weight that is being transferred across the bridge. Think of yourself as a bridge. And relax, bringing the hips back and straightening the legs. Now bending the knees. From here, we're going to push our feet up towards the ceiling at a 90-degree angle. Arms pointing up towards your toes, toes pointing towards the body. Push the lower back into the mat. And now reaching out for our toes, pushing our upper back away from the floor. Feeling that fire in the belly. And relax and bring your forehead down. Moving the back of the head back to the mat. Your legs are still at a 90-degree angle. Once again, breathing in, reaching out for the toes. Feeling your legs shake, your arms shake. If you're shaking, that's a good thing. That means something is happening. And bending the knees, holding onto our knees, pushing our knees into our chest. Bringing the forehead to the knees. Nose between your knees, pushing the knees into the chest, your toes pointing away. Give your knees a nice and tight hug. And relax, bringing the head back. Release the arms, stretch the legs, and let's get onto our stomach, getting ready to stretch our back. Now we're on our stomach, toes pointing away, your palms beside the chest, elbows pointing inwards towards the ribcage. Getting ready for cobra, take a long deep breath in, pushing your fingertips into the mat, relax the shoulders, look up. And gradually bringing your chin down and relax. You can either keep your feet together where your heels are touching each other, or you can keep some distance between your heels. whichever you're more comfortable with. Breathing in, once again, getting into cobra. Pull those glutes in, legs nice and tight, elbows pointing in, relax the shoulders, push those fingertips into the mat. Up, stretch the throat, and gradually relax, bringing the chin down. Straightening your arms, walking the fingers forward, getting ready for the Superwoman pose. Nice and long and deep breath in before we get into Superwoman. And taking a long and deep breath in, gradually taking the arms and the legs off the mat. Imagine someone's pulling you from either end. Legs nice and tight, glutes pull in. Your arms reaching out. And relax, coming back onto a mat. Long and deep breath in before we get back into the Superwoman pose. Breathing into Superwoman and up once again. In Superwoman, think of all the super strengths that you would like to have, that you're really good at. Ones that you would like to have and ones that you're really good at too. And relax. Bringing the arms all the way back, bending our knees, holding onto our ankles. Let's take a long and deep breath in and getting into our Chakras. Getting into our bow pose. Hold on to the ankles, move the feet away from the body, up towards the ceiling. Open the chest, look up towards the sky or the ceiling. Feel and stretch in the throat. Coming back to the center, bend the knees, push the heels into the buttocks. Feel that stretch in the quadriceps. Feeling that stretch in the thighs. Holding onto our ankles, pushing the heels into the buttocks. Let's look up, only moving the chest and the chin away from the mat. And back to the center. And release. Taking a few moments, long inhalation and exhalation. Feeling the movement of the belly against the mat. I want you to bring your palms beside the chest and getting onto our fours, getting ready for cat pose once again. Take a long and deep breath in. Push the hips out, stretch the throat, look up towards the ceiling. This helps with your shoulders, with your arms, fingers, hips, and your toes. And pulling the belly in, breathe out, strengthen the chest, allow your head to hang loose. Pulling the belly, the around a little bit and then to spine. Back into cat. And chin to the chest. And back to the center. I want you to sit on your heels. And getting ready for gentle shoulder. We're going to sit on our heels. If you don't have any issues with your knees or your ankles, then go for it. If you do have any pain in the knees or the ankles, I would suggest you to sit in a posture that you're comfortable in. Now we're going to throw the head back. We're going to stretch the throat, allowing our head and breathe out, chin to the chest. Once again, throwing the head back. And chin to the chest. Back to the center. I want you to bring your fingers together, holding it into a fist, placing it underneath our chin and pushing our knuckles into the chin and throwing our head back. Feel that stretch in the spine, in the upper spine, around the neck, and back to the center. From here, interlocking our fingers, pushing it into our head, on our forehead. Not even our forehead, in fact, on the top of the head. So pushing our head into our palms and our palms into the head. This is extremely good for people who have issues with their neck. They feel that they're experiencing some sort of tension after working for long hours on the screen. We're going to move this towards the left hand side now, pushing the left hand side into the palms and our palms into left hand side on the temple. Feeling that tension from both the sides, from the palms and from the head. And moving this towards the right now. And relax. We're going to get ready for one neck rotation, clockwise and then anti-clockwise. Breathing in halfway and breathing out in the other half. Chin to the chest and back to the center. Now we're just going to lie down on our mat for a few moments. Allow your feet to drop to either sides, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Gently closing our eyes, allowing our head and our lower back to sink into the mat. deep breaths in and out, allowing the body to relax. You can keep one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly. With every breath in, becoming aware of the movement of the chest and the belly. Which hand do you think is moving when you're breathing in, and which hand is moving when you're breathing out? Simply becoming aware of the pattern of the breath, of the movement in the body. Taking our awareness to our strengths, let's think of a moment where we felt most energized, where we lost a sense of time, when we felt our most authentic self. Where it didn't feel like work, but it felt like play. What is that comes naturally to you? Let's become aware of that. Through the practice, let's recognize what our strengths are. Let's set a mindset for developing our strengths and also celebrating the strengths that we have. If there are times in life where we think of our weaknesses, let's not run away from that either. Those are those areas of life where we have scored lower. But it's definitely something that we can work on. Finding that balance between our strengths and our weaknesses and acknowledging both of them. Let's set an intention for savoring our strengths every day, for looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying that we are really good at this, and by sharing it with ourselves and with others. Also expressing gratitude for our signature strengths. Not everyone has it, and that's what makes you unique and most authentic. Those are your core beliefs and your core signature strengths that no one can take away from you. Something that you should celebrate every day. I want you to become aware of the flickers of light that spark within us and in others, in your loved ones, in your friends, family, colleagues. Allow yourself to express your own beam of light. Tap into the universal language that bonds all of us together. The universal language of strengths, of what we are good at, by finding a deeper purpose, by sharing it with others, and also finding strengths that others have. Remember that who you are is what you repeatedly do. If you're practicing your character strengths, you become the character strengths. So who you are is what you repeatedly do. The process of identifying and utilizing our strengths in everyday life is linked to better sense of well-being, an increase in probability of achieving our goals, a higher sense of confidence, more engagement, better relationships, and a stronger sense of life direction. So let's believe in our strengths. Let's rediscover them every day in different forms. Taking our awareness back to the strengths. Let's take our arms over the head, interlocking our fingers, keeping our eyes closed. Giving our body a nice stretch from the toes all the way to the top of the head. Imagine as if you're a rubber band and someone's pulling you from both the sides. Be flexible and strong and sturdy like the rubber band. And relax. Take a long and deep breath in. And breathe out from the mouth, taking out a ha sound. So breathing in and breathe out from the mouth. Ha. Let go of any tension, anything that's holding you back, any worries, any anxiety that you might be feeling about the uncertain situation. Let's simply let go of that. Breathing in and breathing out through the mouth. Ha. Once again, long and deep breath in and let go. Ha. Gently rolling over onto our right hand side. Allowing your body to cool down. And closing our eyes, sitting up onto our mat. Sitting nice and tall. Allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your facial muscles to relax. Becoming aware of the intention that we set at the very beginning of our practice. Remember, who you are is what you repeatedly do. Set your intention, give yourself the opportunity to improve on your strengths, to find newer ways of discovering your strengths. And by asking other people what your strengths really are. And gently bringing our awareness back to the moment, to how we are feeling right now, to any tension, any sensation in the body, our breath, and gently opening our eyes.